Today we are going to talk about the best pitching tips in MLB The Show 24. In this video, we're going to be talking about what you should look for when looking at a pitcher, what the best pitching settings are, and then some sequences so you can have the best plan of attack for your opponent. Starting out, let's talk about what you should be looking for when it comes to a pitcher, especially BR. When you get those bronze and commons round, don't overlook them because you might get some beasts. So one thing you want to go look for, if we take a look at this Abner rebate card, if you go over to quirks, you want every card you get to have this outlier. Essentially, this just means that the pitch exceeds limits and goes faster. So his sinker all of a sudden is going to be pushing 100 miles per hour and it comes in a lot faster. For a bronze card, especially in BR, this is going to be significant. Having guys with control like a Greg Maddux or somebody is nice, but they don't generate nearly enough swings and misses to be valuable. So having outlier is key. The other thing you want to look for is a pitch repertoire. If we go to somebody like Jacob Mezorowski, he's got a four-seam fastball, but unfortunately it does not have outlier. He also has a slider, cutter, curveball, and a circle change. 5-pitch mix. You want to look for guys with at least 4 or 5 different pitches, because otherwise they're just too predictable. I like looking for guys who have fastballs, big time fastballs, so having outlier is a plus. Sliders, cutters, sinkers, and a changeup. I don't use a lot of curveballs because they hang in the zone a little too long, but having a changeup to pitch way to righties is something that I like to have. So this Jacob Mezorowski has everything that I would look for. The only thing I would like to change would be instead of a curveball, having a sinker, and his pitch repertoire would be perfect. Or another guy who could be a BR goon is somebody like Jacob Junis, who has a slider, sinker, circle change, cutter, fastball. The 3 best pitches, in my opinion, are going to be the cutter, sinker, and slider, and Junis has all 3. So he's going to be very valuable in modes like BR. So now, if we go over to a pitcher like Edwin Diaz, he's one of the best closers in all of baseball. He is electric. He is a terrible option for your bullpen because he has 2 pitches, essentially. He's got a 4-seamer, slider, and a 2-seamer. Especially for a bullpen piece, I'd say you need at least 3 pitches to be valuable, but definitely look for 4 or 5. Where somebody like this Joan Duran right here could be a budget beast that's only going for 1,700 stubs because he's got a fastball, a splitter, and a 12-6. He at least has 3 different pitches. I don't like that he has 2 pitches that move vertical. In my opinion, if you have 3 pitches, you need a fastball, you need some that moves vertical like a curveball, and then some that moves horizontal like a slider or something like that. But what makes him good is he has 2 outliers. He has outlier 1, so his 4-seamer comes in at 102. Then he has outlier 2, so his splitter comes in significantly faster than most. Today's video is sponsored by SeatGeek. Baseball season is here, and SeatGeek's going to be your #1 spot for finding tickets to any game for any ballpark you want to go to. My favorite part about SeatGeek is that this little icon right here is meant to tell me just how good of a deal I'm getting on these tickets. Takes all the guesswork out of finding out if you're getting a good deal or not. Use code Bkindel at checkout, and it will take $20 off your first purchase. Click the link down in the description. So we talked about some things that you should be looking for when it comes to quirks and also pitch repertoire. Now let's talk about what stats you should be looking for. Randy Johnson's going to be a great example because he's the best pitcher in the game. You see he's got a low walk per 9 at 68, but his hits per 9 and his Ks per 9 are really high at 95 and 97. The main stat you should be looking for, and same if you use captain boost, you want to use captains that give you this boost, it's going to be hits per 9. Hits per 9 is going to control how big the PCI is on the opponent's side of the field. So hitters going up against Randy Johnson are going to have much smaller PCIs than they were if they were to go against somebody like, okay, this Corbin Burns actually nasty, 102 hits per 9. That's crazy this early. Compared to somebody like Johan Santana, who only has 78 hits per 9. So having a high hits per 9 is the one thing you should be looking for. Ks per 9 is all right. You also want to look at velocity and break. If you have 99 velo and the 4-seamer comes in at 99, generally if you go to quirks, they're going to have outlier on something. You see Randy Johnson has outlier on the fastball. But having break on your pitches is also going to be nice. Just because somebody throws hard, you don't want them to throw the ball straight. You can throw 102 miles per hour, but if that fastball's coming in straight, it's going to be easy to hit. Same with other pitches. So we look at his control. He's got good control on the slider and the fastball. Not very good on slurve. He's got 99 break on his 4-seamer. So 102, that is moving. It's not going to be easy to hit. The slider, Randy Johnson had one of the best sliders of all time. Of course, it's going to have some nasty movement to it as well. If you are looking at guys with big velocity, of course, is going to come to control issues. Jacob Mezorowski is a perfect example. He throws gas 99. He somehow doesn't have outlier because he only has 98 velo on it. But you see, he's got 54 walks per 9 and 6'2 control. control, so he is a little sporadic. But even if it's a mistake, if your opponent's late on the pitch, it's not going to really go anywhere. So in my opinion, it's more valuable to have power arms than it is to have control and finesse arms. So if we go over into custom practice now, let's talk about setting. Let's start out with your camera angle. I already talked about the hitting settings in my hitting tip video that I posted the other day, but pitching view, leave it exactly to what your hitting view is. I use strike zone for my hitting view, so I'm gonna also use strike zone for my pitching view. The reason I do this is because when I'm pitching, I have a more keen eye of being able to read how pitches are coming in from my perspective. So now I see all of a sudden what a fastball just off the plate looks like. So then when I go up to bat, if I kind of see something that looks similar to that, it tells my brain to lay off that pitch. I also think having this close up, it's easier for me to kind of read what the pitch is. Compared to further away, I have a very hard time kind of telling if it's going to be a ball or a strike, the ones that are just off the plate, and kind of reading what kind of pitches it is. Pitching interface, this is going to be what you're using to pitch. A lot of first time people will use meter, which is the one that's going to have you press, I think it's X, and then you just got to hit it in the middle. The thing that I don't like about this is that even if you hit it perfect, sometimes the pitch is just a lot more sporadic than it should be. But when it comes to playing the game, especially if you want to be better, you want to use the things that give you the most user input and kind of taking the CPU out of it. So using that classic, whatever the fuck that is, you don't want to use that because then it's all reliant on RNG. So the pitching interface that gives you the most user input is going to be pinpoint. It's also by far the hardest to use. So it's going to be one of those things you're going to want to come into practice and kind of use the pitchers that you're going to be using in DD, BR, whatever it is. To be honest, you should be using custom practice before you hop into any ranked game anyways. And try to get a feel for a lot of the different pitches. They switched up sinkers, they switched up knuckle curves. Lefties are going to be different than they are for righties. So while it is difficult to learn, everybody's going to have kind of a learning curve when they do it. So always recommend using pinpoint, gives you the most user input and the most command. You're just going to have to practice it. Pitching ball marks going to be all preference. I have it on Chevron. I don't even know what that is, but you got Chevron fade, off, pitch tail. Got a bunch of different options. I leave it on Chevron, which essentially I don't think means a goddamn thing. I don't really know what it means, but that's what I use. And then the rest of these are all going to be fielding metrics. I use buttons for the thrown interface. Throw canceling, always have on, so you don't have people kind of take advantage of you. So we've gone over what you should be looking for in a pitcher. And we've also talked about pitching settings. Now let's talk about some pitch sequences to attack hitters with. We're going to switch our pitcher to Jacob Junis just because I like his pitch repertoire with the slider, sinker, cutter combo. But with pitching, you might have heard it in MLB. It works the same with MLB The Show, is you want to tunnel your pitches. So essentially what tunneling is it looks like it's coming in like something you previously pitched, but then it either kind of tails out or tails away or something along that line. So what I like to generally do is I'll start out with a sinker kind of low and outside the left-handed batters. So this way they either kind of roll out or they kind of hit it weakly somewhere. So then I'll kind of attack them with a cutter on the inside. The reason why this works so effectively is because the pitches kind of move in the same, and they're two vertical pitches. So they're coming in and then they just kind of separate different ways. So a cutter is going to look very similar to a sinker, and a sinker is going to look very similar to a cutter. So the cutter sinker combo is always great. I also like to pitch a fastball kind of on the inner half of the plate a little bit, especially if I know they're going to be late. And then I'll kind of attack it with something that moves at kind of similar to a cutter and sinker, but with some more drop. So like a slider, I'll pitch it in that same location as I just pitched that fastball, except now it kind of drops off the table. So it looks like the fastball, and then it just kind of sinks in. And if I'm doing it the other way, I'll pitch a fastball over on the outside side of the plate. And then if I have a guy in first and I want to get him to roll over something and hit something weak so I can try and turn two, I'll kind of come back with a changeup in that same spot, except it drops low and away. So it looks like the fastball I just pitched, but now it drops, so you're more likely to get on top of it and kind of roll it over to second base. So it's just a lot easier to turn double play. You can also attack people with high fastballs. Try to pitch it high out of the zone because it's easier. Like, don't do that. But it's easy to slam up on your PCI and get it all the way to the zone. So that's why you'll see a lot of perfect on those. If I pitch a high fastball, I like pitching it up here because I know there's no way they're going to get their PCI up there. And then I'll come back with that slider that we talked about and pitch it in. So it looks like the fastball that just kind of made a mistake on. A high fastball that they're going to kind of go up and then it tails away. My put out pitch for years has always been the slider, kind of like right here, that kind of tails into left-handed batters or away to right-handed batters. It usually works well. See, that'd be an easy double play. Hopefully this video helped you out. If it did, let me know in the comments section. If you have any questions, I'll be sure to answer everybody. Road to 5,000 subs. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and let me know any videos you'd like to see in the future. We got some bangers coming your way. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.